Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Women's Advanced Bible Study Night, 21st of December, 2023. We'll pick up where we left off last week. We'll be reading out of the book of Exodus. Introduction to Prophets of Awakening. You can go to our YouTube channel, to Prophets of Awakening, check out our videos. We have a lot of videos you can check out, but a lot of information. And they'll lead you into the truth of the Holy Scriptures. If you like what you are hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and hit the subscribe button. It'll be greatly appreciated. And those who need to support the channel, that like its content, got a cash app at the bottom of the screen. Okay. And with that being said, this is a non-Messianic channel. By that, I mean that we deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, and Torah being the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by the Lord of Hosts. Shalom and welcome to the channel, and welcome to our Women's Advanced Bible Study Night. Okay, we're going to do our moment of silence, or prayer, read the Psalms, Women's Health Moment, and then we do some current events, a little needed on information. Then we open up for some Q&A. Then we go into our topic, which is we'll be reading out the book of Exodus. Okay, this moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts and Yahweh, our Creator, and all that they're doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we pray unto the Lord, our God. We make our confessions, O Lord, the great and dreadful God, keeping covenant and mercy to them that love thee, and to them that keep thy commandments. O Lord, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us a confusion of face, as it is this day. To the men of Judah, and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and unto all Israel that are near and that are far off, through all the countries whither thou hast driven us, because of our trespass, that we have trespassed against thee. O Lord, hear this prayer, and cause our face to shine down upon thy sanctuary and thy people for your sake. O Lord, open thine eyes and incline thy ears to hear and behold our condition. O Lord, hear. O Lord, forgive. O Lord, hearken and do, and defer not for thy own sake. For thy people need you so very much at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to read the Psalms.
Yes, sir. Shalom, everyone. I'll be reading Psalm 65, verses 1 through 13. Verse 1. Praise is awaiting you, O God, in Zion, and to you the vow shall be performed. O you who hear prayer, to you all flesh will come. Verse 3. Iniquities prevail against me. As for our transgressions, you will provide atonement for them. Blessed is the man you choose and cause to approach you, that he may dwell in your courts. We shall be satisfied with the goodness of your house, O your holy temple. Verse 5. By awesome deeds and righteousness you will answer us, O God of salvation, you who are the confidence of all the ends of the earth and all the far-off seas, who established the mountains by his strength, being clothed with power, you who still the noise of the seas, the noise of their waves, and the tumult of the people. Verse 8, they also who dwell in the farthest parts are afraid of your signs. You make the outgoings of the morning and evening rejoice. You visit the earth and water it. You greatly enrich it. The river of God is full of water. You provide their grain, for so you have prepared it. Verse 10. You water its ridges abundantly. You settle its furrows. You make it soft with showers. You bless its growth. You crown the year with your goodness, and your path drips with abundance. Verse 12. They drop on the pastures of the wilderness, and the little hills rejoice on every side. The last verse, 13. The pastures are clothed with flocks. The valleys also are covered with grain. They shout for joy. They also sing. And Psalms 5, just the whole thing, just lets me know how God hears and answers our prayers. And David knew that when he sinned or transgressed, he was faithful enough to confess it to the Lord of hosts and ask for repentance. And when he prayed, and he prayed for the people too, and God, and the Lord of hosts, he came, and when it says he crowned them, he gave them abundance and goodness, and the people would come into Jerusalem and go there and thank him for all the prayers. That's what I got out of 65. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so that was that's a King James Bible you reading out of?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Psalm 65 verse 1 says, praise waiteth for thee, O God, in Zion, and unto thee shall thy vow be performed. I keep on stressing this over and over again, how it's to the Lord of hosts that we praying to, and to him that we making
Right.
our vow. Right. So it says, praise waited for thee, O God, in Zion, and unto thee shall the vow be performed. And then go to 2 Samuel, like I was saying. Go to 2 Samuel that quick. It's kind of crazy because I was just dealing with something along these same lines a couple days ago. Get 2 Samuel that quick. Chapter 17, verse 17 says, David talking to the Lord of hosts, and it says, and according to all these words, verse 17, and all these deep words, according to all of this vision, so did Nathan speak unto David. Then when King David in and sat before the Lord, and he said, who am I, O Lord God, and what is thy house that I made, that thou hast brought me here to? So we know it's not Yahweh, because he's a consuming fire. So he can't sit before Yahweh. But then we see it's the Lord of hosts. And then we get to verse 26, and then David tells us, just like he just told us in Psalm 65, let thy name be magnified forever, saying the Lord of hosts is God over Israel, and let the house of thy servant David be established before thee. 27, for thou, Lord of hosts, God of Israel, has revealed to thy servant, saying, I will build thee a house. Therefore have thy servant David found in his heart to pray this prayer unto thee. So we see that verse right there, 27, 2 Samuel 7 and 27, goes right along with 65 and verse 1. It's the Lord of hosts who they're praying to.
Yes,
and they're
sir.
making their vows. Right. So yeah, so I want to shine light on that. So it's 65 and 1 says, praise waited for thee, O God, in Zion. So, like I said, the angel in Zion, angels that dwell on the mountains, not the Yahweh. But notice what they did over here in Revelation chapter 14. He's one of those dead giveaways right here. 14 and 1. Revelation 14 and 1 says, it's John now. So this is just making John suspect and JC. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on Mount Zion. Now it's a damn lamb on Mount Zion. But Lord of hosts is the one that's on Mount Zion. But he says, I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on Mount Zion. And with him 144,000 having the Father's name written in his hand. Now all of a sudden, it's a lamb that's on Mount Zion. Okay, see that? How crazy that is?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ain't that something? So we're gonna go to our women's health moment.
Shalom, everyone. Please know that the information that is shared is intended for general, informational, and educational purposes only and is not medical advice or recommended treatment. Tonight's discussion is on norovirus, also known as winter vomiting bug or stomach bug. Norovirus infection can cause severe vomiting and diarrhea that starts suddenly. Noroviruses are highly contagious. They commonly spread through food or water that is contaminated during preparation or through contaminated surfaces. Noroviruses can also spread through close contact with a person who has a norovirus infection. Diarrhea, stomach pain, and vomiting typically begin 48 hours after exposure. Norovirus infection symptoms usually last 1 to 3 days. Norovirus infection occurs most frequently in closed and crowded environments. Examples include hospitals, nursing homes, child care centers, schools, and cruise ships. Signs and symptoms of norovirus infection may start suddenly and include nausea, vomiting, stomach pain, or cramps, watery or loose diarrhea, low-grade fever, and muscle pain. Noroviruses are highly contagious. That means the norovirus infection can easily spread to others. The virus is shed in stool and vomit. You can spread the virus from the time you first have symptoms of illness until several days after you recover. Noroviruses can stay on surfaces and objects for days or weeks. You can get norovirus infections by eating contaminated food, drinking contaminated water, touching your hand to your mouth after your hand has been in contact with which has been infected. Excuse me, you guys. Surface or object, being in close contact with the person who has norovirus infection. Noroviruses are difficult to kill because they can withstand hot and cold temperatures and many disinfectants. To prevent norovirus infection, wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Avoid contaminated food and water, including food that could have been prepared by someone who was sick. Wash fruits and vegetables before eating. Cook your food thoroughly. Use cautious when traveling. If you're traveling to areas with a high risk of norovirus infections, consider eating only cooked foods, drinking only hot or carbonated beverages, and avoiding food sold by street vendors. The bottom line is that the norovirus infection is highly contagious and can be very unpleasant. I'm going to read Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27, blessings on the children of Israel. Verse 22, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, The Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. Verse 27, and they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Tonight's discussion was on norovirus, also known as winter vomiting bug or stomach bug, and I read chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. Blessings on the children of Israel.
Okay. Appreciate that information. We're gonna go to our current event.
Certainly, you have seen my coverage and some of my colleagues' coverage about the migrant crisis here in the United States. Of course, we've been having news coverage about this really around the world. And some of us know that there is a hidden hand behind some of this. Well, today I want to share with you this very brief clip. Watch this.
So now we got black migrants, a bunch of black migrants. You know what happened to the last group with the horses?
Got whipped.
I think that the federal government should take the forefront in this crisis, knowing and having all the data about where the unrest is and what is happening and what people need, and that we need to make sure that we have something where one city bearing the brunt of this doesn't seem fair to me. I don't think I or any person in this administration would use people to do any type of a stunt. We have done it with humanity and with compassion. And every week I come here and I talk about systems at its breaking point. I think we're gonna.
So now all of a sudden, this illnesses being spread because of the migrants, because they're black.
Things are not looking good. We need some support. And now New Yorkers are seeing what that means and what that looks like.
We were supporting folks for over a year at this point, and to see that the city has not been able to figure it out has been devastating and heartbreaking, to be transparent with you. Because no one should be sleeping on the street for 2 days outside of an intake facility just because they happen to be immigrants.
Now, did you see that? I want you to see this for certain reasons. You and I both know that the United States, when it comes down to black migrants, they are quick to make sure that they go back to their country. We know that the overwhelming number of migrants, whether legal or illegal, tend to be other people groups that are not black, right? But look who they're making the face of these allegations about the fact that some of the migrants that are being busted in from the border might be creating a catastrophic public health crisis in terms of diseases and spreading some stuff. Talk back to me, somebody. Now, I'm bringing this up because I'm trying to get you all to see that when the powers that be get ready to push a certain agenda or a new part of a particular agenda, they're going to always make sure that they have the images that's going to spark and trigger the people that they need to be triggered and moved to act more than anything, and that's always a black face. I hope you're reading through the lines. So even though we know that the overwhelming number of people and individuals that come to the country, whether legally or illegal, are non-black, look who they're making the face of a crisis, a health crisis. I can't wait to talk with you more about what I believe and know they're really up to next and why they're using our images to cover it up. Are you reading through the lines? The powers that be, whenever they get ready to unleash another part of their diabolical plans, they set up the narrative in the media first, which is why media is warfare. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. My name is Vicky Diller, beloved Beach.
Okay, any comments on that? Okay. Somebody say something?
What was the title of that video?
It's black migrants bust from the border, accused of creating infirmities in the U.S.
Okay. Okay, thank you, sir.
Who is,
Now, Warren.
Okay.
I want to know, she always say welcome back to the channel. What is her channel?
Oh, that's African Diaspora channel. They have different different people come in and say and do things on his channel. Phil Scott.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
she's on African Diaspora channel.
Thank you.
She's like a correspondent for the African Diaspora.
By China, by Russia, by Iran, and other smaller countries as well. And we are being warned because they say we are stepping into a fight that is not ours. For instance, Russia warns that the United States is stepping into a fight with Ukraine against Russia. That's not our fight. China warns that they are going to reunite Taiwan with mainland China. But the United States has vowed, and President Biden said multiple times, if China tries to retake Taiwan, the United States will step in and back Taiwan. Yeah, that's concerning. And then we have this fight between Israel and Hamas. Hamas is an Iranian-backed militant group. Again, right now we are facing multiple threats. Iran is saying that if we jump into this, they are going to attack us as well, like they already have been. But the big concern is things are escalating. We are now getting new reports that U.S. troops are warned of imminent attack. Yes, imminent means it is going to happen, and it will happen soon. But that's not the only person that is threatening us. There are many, many groups that are threatening us right now. It says U.S. government issues winter holiday threat warning. FBI, DHS, and the NCTC assess that ongoing tensions related to the conflict between Israel and Hamas likely heightened the threat of lone actor violence targeting large public gatherings throughout the winter, including holiday-related faith-based New Year's Eve and First Amendment protected events related to the conflict. Well, what we are now hearing is that it's not just that. We are going to see multiple attacks and multiple threats all around the world. So I'm going to dive into a little bit more of this in just a moment. All I ask is if you enjoy these daily updates, do me a favor. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead and hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So why do we continue to get new threats towards the United States and the U.S. military? Well, it's actually pretty simple. China says we cannot go and support Taiwan. Taiwan belongs to China. And because of that, if President Biden vowed to protect Taiwan, which he has, and China decides to reunite Taiwan, whether it's peacefully or militarily, doesn't matter. If we step in, it will be a war. The other one, it actually comes from a Yemen Houthi leader. Look at this. Yemen Houthi leader warns, any American targeting of our country will be targeted by us. Now, what do they mean by this? Well, it has to do with the commercial ships traveling through the Red Sea. As of right now, the United States and other countries, they partnered together and are putting Navy ships inside the Red Sea to protect commercial vessels that are still trying to transport goods and products. Well, the cause for concern here is what we are being told by the Pentagon is we have to retaliate first because of all the attacks on the United States and other commercial ships just recently. So we need to retaliate against Iran. We need to retaliate against the Houthis out of Yemen. Well, this Yemen leader says, if you attack us, we are going to come back and attack you. Just look at this. I want to read you this. It says, we will not stand idly by if the Americans are tempted to escalate further and commit foolishness by targeting our country or waging war against it. Any American targeting of our country will be targeted by us, and we will make American battleships' interest in navigation a target for our missiles, drones, and military operations. Yeah, it is getting that serious. One thing I can tell you is that the U.S. naval force is going to be hit at some point. This article from Bloomberg says Yemen's Houthis vow more attacks on ships in Red Sea despite U.S. naval force. It doesn't matter if we have one ship or we have 10 ships in the Red Sea. if we are going to conduct any retaliation efforts to Yemen, they are going to attack us even more. This is what the Pentagon officials were worried months ago when they gave President Biden the option of attacking these Iranian-backed groups that were hitting U.S. Military and bases with drones. Well, President Biden opted for the least effective and something that it was going to cause the least casualties. Well, it did. It caused very little destruction at all. And Pentagon officials said it just wasn't going to work. Well, this is the result of waiting and delaying. One thing I can tell you is that waiting and delaying the inevitable is not something that China is going to be open with. What I can tell you is that right now, top U.S. general has spoken with the Chinese counterpart, because for the past 16 months, the two have not talked. And why does China matter so much? Well, China is one of the bigger countries, China, the United States, Russia, right? Russia is currently in the middle of their own little battle, their own war with Ukraine. China is trying to systematically weaken other countries, which by supporting Russia, they have weakened the United States, because now it's spreading our ships very thin. Not only our ships, but military personnel. If you think back to COVID, right, and the whole pandemic, we saw that if people did not go and get the shot, then they were pretty much let go. Go home. We don't need you. We don't want you, right? Well, that happened. We lost a lot of troops. Not only that, but the enrollment numbers. How many people were enrolling to go into the U.S. military? Very little. We saw a decrease in numbers, because why would somebody want to go into the U.S. military? Yes, fight for our country, obviously, but why would they want to do that if they're now being controlled and told, no, you have to go and get the shot. You have to do this. It's not an option. You have to, right? That was a huge concern. And what we are now hearing is that all the requirements that were put in place, that caused our numbers to drop. China's numbers didn't drop. They've increased. They have more troops than before. Russia, yeah, they are weaker because of the war going on between Ukraine and them, but that's something that's out of our control. That's not our worry. Our worry is Russia could potentially hit us with any type of nuclear threat. That's the concern. But it's not just Russia. And one thing I can tell you is that here in the United States, President Biden is hoping that these wars end. He's hoping Congress can fund Ukraine a little bit more, provide some additional funding to ensure that Ukraine wins this battle against Russia. Russia bows out, and then Ukraine can go back to normal. The United States can stop funding this war, right? Well, it's not just there. Secretary Blinken, he says ending the Israel-Hamas war as quickly as possible is a top priority for the United States in 2024. One of the reasons why is because if the United States cannot fix this and help end this war immediately, it's going to hurt the Biden administration in the upcoming presidential election. So, of course, it's a top concern. One thing we do know is that right now, it's not just keeping the war where it's at now and the current size. We need to ensure that this war doesn't spread. Well, according to an article from New York Times, it says U.S. Defense Chief says Israeli shift would reduce fears of a regional war. Israel needs to shift away from attacking the people, needs to shift away from just all this bombardment. Right? There's missiles hitting Gaza. Well, what we've been told is that by the end of next week, that this could be the end. This could be the end of the current intense state of the war. That could be good news. But again, that's still a week away. Now, here's something I can tell you. The United States is highly concerned about all these threats. The problem is we can't deal with all these threats at the exact same time. We can deal with one and then the next. But if all these threats come at us at once, what are we going to do? Well, this is one of the reasons why, according to reports, President Biden is trying to work with our allies so that they can take on certain responsibilities. For instance, with the Israel and Hamas war, can the United States step back, and can other countries like France, can they step in and persuade Israel to a ceasefire? Possibly, but probably not. And if France can do that, or other countries can do that, the United States steps back, we can conserve our resources. Because again, we have to be prepared for a potential attack. Not only that, but can other countries step in and help Ukraine?
Okay, any comments on that?
That is only heating up.
Right. That's some need to know information right here.
Okay.
It's that time of the year again, and no, I'm not talking about Christmas, I'm talking about the Wuhan virus pandemic. It's December, and the Wuhan virus is rearing its head again. It's happening across the globe. Cases are on the rise, and the situation is no different here in India. In the last 24 hours, in fact, India has recorded 614 new cases. It's the highest number of new cases detected since May 2021. Kerala has reported 3 new deaths. So there's clearly a surge. And what's driving this? A new variant of the Wuhan virus, it's called the JN1. It was first discovered in the southern Indian state of Kerala in India. In India, that's where it was first discovered. Since then, it has spread to states like Goa and Maharashtra. There are 21 new cases of this variant. The central government held a COVID meeting today. There is no reason for alarm yet, but states have been asked to ramp up surveillance. They must track new strains. The latest one, JN1, is linked to an old variant. You may remember Omicron. It was driving the surge last year. Turns out JN1 is linked to Omicron. It's from the same lineage, but it carries a mutation, something that gives it extra immune evading capabilities. And that is what makes it contagious. The rise in cases is proof this strain is highly transmissible. Even if you are double vaccinated, you may still get it. The World Health Organization has called it a variant of interest, meaning they're tracking it. And that brings us to the question on everyone's mind: is this deadly? For now, the symptoms are generally mild. It includes a fever, runny nose, sore throat, headaches, and diarrhea. Some patients may experience breathing problems, but overall, nothing severe. Individuals usually recover in 4 to 5 days, and the surge is not limited to India. At least 40 countries, 40, have detected the JN1 variant. Many of them have rising cases. In Southeast Asia, the masks are back. Countries like Malaysia and Singapore have issued advisories. They want travelers to mask up. Singapore has recorded 56,000 new cases in a week. 56,000 new cases in Singapore. They want everyone to vaccinate now and follow COVID-19 guidelines. Then there's China. It has detected 40 new cases of the JN1 variant, but Beijing says it's not a matter of concern yet. In the United States, there's a similar trend. JN1 is the fastest growing variant in the country. Cases are rising, so are hospitalizations. They're up by 200%. That's hospitalizations in America, 200%. It's a steep increase, which is why the CDC has issued an alert. That's America's public health agency, CDC. It wants citizens to get boosters. The UK too is experiencing something similar. It reported nearly 6,000 cases in a week. Around 6% of Londoners are estimated to have the virus. This is 3 times higher than last month. Doctors have raised an alarm. They're monitoring all new infections. I know what it sounds like. Yet another COVID wave, more cases, more hospitalizations, and the return of the masks. The signs are all there. So should you be worried? Not yet, says the World Health Organization. They say this strain is not a cause of public concern yet. The overall risk to public is low. Vaccines still offer protection, plus it's winter, the season of flu and other respiratory diseases, so it's likely that JN1 is just riding that wave. Having said that, caution is still the name of the game. The holidays are a time of happiness and cheer. Don't dampen it by sneezing all over it. Wear a mask.
Okay. Any comments? Anybody heard anything about that?
Shalom. I haven't heard about it, but also she made a statement that even though you had vaccinated, it still won't help. But she said that they're encouraging boosters shots. So it's kind of got me thinking, if it's not going to help, then why do the booster shots?
Right.
So
Okay.
I heard about it. And here in Georgia, they keep, putting on the news how many people have been affected and doing all these commercials for getting the shot.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll open it up for questions and comments. Anybody have any questions or comments about anything, or something they want to talk about before we start reading out of Exodus? Okay. Play a little bit of this and then we'll go into the last.
The legal side of this now. Let's leave the emotion out of it, and let's specifically look at how the Supreme Court in Colorado ruled in this 4-3 decision, disqualifying President Trump for being on the ballot, grounded in the 14th Amendment of the United States. Now, I want to play for you before we bring in our constitutional expert here and legal maven, our brilliant mind here in a second. But I want to play for you, perhaps not a legal maven and not a legal genius, the Secretary of State of Colorado, Janet Griswold. She was on CNN. Watch her smiling ear to ear at this decision and how she lays this out, exactly why President Trump will be thrown off the ballot. Listen.
What does this really mean for the former president and the state of Colorado tonight?
Well, it's definitely a big case. The fact of the matter is the Colorado Supreme Court has determined that Donald Trump did engage in insurrection and that his actions have disqualified him from being president. I just think the gravity of that in itself is just remarkable. We've never had a president inside an insurrection and then try to run for the presidency again.
Get the fast internet you need at a great value this holiday with Optimum.
The fact of the matter is that Donald Trump engaged in insurrection. Let's bring in legal expert, constitutional legal expert, media commentator, former prosecutor, Lionel from the Lionel Nation YouTube channel. Lionel, great to see you. Welcome back to Redacted. Always a thrill to have you here on the show.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so you heard the Secretary of State saying specifically the fact of the matter is that Donald Trump engaged in insurrection, pointing specifically to the 14th Amendment of the United States. I think, well, we would love to talk about history here on this show. Most Americans, I don't think, understand that the 14th Amendment put into law in 1868, right after the Civil War. This was a Civil War amendment. I mean, it was meant really to keep members of the Confederacy from becoming president of the United States, becoming members of Congress. It really was put in place to bar those individuals from taking part in the government after the end of the Civil War. So she says the fact of the matter is he engaged in insurrection. So can you get to the heart of the legal question here? What specifically did he do that she is confident that he did?
Well, first, the question is this a self-executing statute? Must there be a prior determination of insurrection? I will then say, what is insurrection? You know, it's very common for people in our regular parlance to use the word insurrection, sedition, rebellion, seditious conspiracy, and we use these words. But what does that mean? Does that mean an uprising against the government? Does that mean an uprising? We don't know. Well, let me be a little arcane just for 1 second, because I find this to be fascinating. I like to read the statute. Now, Section 3 of the 14th Amendment reads as follows. And I'm going to try my best to read through this, but just listen to this. It says, no person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or an elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state who, listen to this, who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States, or as a member of any state legislature, or as an executive or judicial officer of any state. Did Donald Trump previously take an oath as a member of Congress, an officer of the United States, kind of like a subordinate agency member, or a member of the state legislature? The answer is no.
No, I don't remember him serving in the New York State legislature. I don't remember him becoming an officer of the executive branch. He was president of the United States. Now, we can't ask, why did they phrase it like this? I don't know. So this is a wonderful document, the Constitution. But if I could tell you the inconsistencies, well, let me also tell you, there's another part which is important, because we're going to read this very carefully. It says, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion. Now, shall have engaged. I'm hearing people talking about incitement. I heard there's a YouTube channel, I'm not going to mention the name, but somebody who purports to be a lawyer used the word sedition. And there's no really sedition. We use these words as, I guess, commonplace, just like we say he's a traitor. So the bottom line is simply this. Number one, I would say that under this amendment, it doesn't apply. To be even more arcane and recondite, Section 4 afterwards talks about different claims that will not be honored by the government. And one of them is claims for the loss or emancipation of any slave. So what they're saying is, after we're done with the Civil War and after we have Reconstruction, don't come back and file any claim, because now that we freed your slave, we're not going to pay you back because slavery is void. The reason why that's important is that there's a concept called in pari materia. That shows us the tenor, the framework, the idea of what this was dealing with. It was a post-Civil War, post-Reconstruction. And by the way, this becomes moot because later on there are these amnesty statutes to of course, sometimes 100 years later, but to invite Jefferson Davis back into the realm. So what we're doing is, this is a Hail Mary. And despite my brilliant treatise heretofore, there are people who are going to say, no, that's not true. That doesn't apply. But the bottom line then is, okay, irrespective of this, let's assume that this was not
So if you look at the reason I was playing this was, if you go back to during the time of Obama when he was running, they used this right here. This is some kind of technique they used. So they're attacking Trump, and all it's going to do is make his numbers go up. They did the same thing when they came out with those Obama girls singing for Obama, and everybody was talking about how not presidential that was, but all it did was heighten his numbers. And not only that, you notice that who he's running against, McCain, the old gentleman against a young guy. And that's the same thing he got now, Trump, which he ain't that young, but that old, but I mean, he's not that old as Biden, but he's young. When you look at him, look at Biden. So they're playing, using all this stuff that they've been using for years to bring the numbers up. They're just making more, we're bringing more and more attention to Trump by doing this right here. Because it looked like they're trying to, they do everything possible to cut him off. It's like the underdog. Everybody always want to go for the underdog because, it's like he's being bullied, he's being disrespected, so most people would jump behind the underdog, pull for the underdog. And that's what they're doing right here. So if you want to watch all of that, it's called Get Ready. Colorado just opened the floodgates against Trump. Okay? Any comments? Okay, so we're going to our topic. Like I said, last week we read chapters 1 through 4. We took turns reading. So if somebody want to just jump this off, we'll start reading out of chapter 5.
Yes, sir. I'm getting there. Exodus chapter 5. Afterward, Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, "Thus says the Lord God of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast to me in the wilderness." Verse 2, and Pharaoh said, "Who is the Lord that I should obey his voice to let Israel go? I do not know the Lord, nor will I let Israel go." So they said, "The God of Hebrews has met with us. Please let us go 3 days' journey into the desert and sacrifice to the Lord our God, lest he fall upon us with pestilence or with the sword." Verse 4, then the king of Egypt said to them, "Moses and Aaron, why do you take the people from their work? Get back to your labor." And Pharaoh said, "Look, the people of the land are many now, and you may make them rest from their labor." So the same day Pharaoh commanded the taskmasters of the people and their officers, saying, "You shall no longer give the people straw to make brick as before. Let them go and gather straw for themselves." Verse 8, and you shall lay on them the quota of bricks which they made before. You shall not reduce it, for they are idle. Therefore they cry out, saying, "Let us go and sacrifice to our God." Let more work be laid on the men, that they may labor in it, and let them not regard false words. Verse 10, and the taskmasters of the people and their officers went out and spoke to the people, saying, "Thus says Pharaoh, I will not give you straw. Go get yourselves straw where you can find it, yet none of your work will be reduced." Verse 12, so the people were scattered abroad throughout the land of Egypt to gather stubble instead of straw. And the taskmaster forced them to hurry, saying, "Fulfill your work, your daily quota, as when there was straw." Verse 14, also the officers of the children of Israel, whom Pharaoh's taskmasters had set over them, were beaten, and they were asked, "Why have you not fulfilled your task in making bricks both yesterday and today as before?" Then the officers of the children of Israel came and cried out to Pharaoh, saying, "Why are you dealing thus with your servants?" Verse 16, there is no straw given to your servants, and they say to us, "Make brick." And indeed your servants are beaten, but the fault is in your own people. But he said, "You are idle. Therefore you say, 'Let us go and sacrifice to the Lord.'" Verse 18, therefore go now and work, for no straw shall be given you, yet you shall deliver the quota of bricks. And the officers of the children of Israel saw that they were in trouble after it was said, "You shall not reduce any bricks from your quota, your daily quota." Verse 20, then as they came out from Pharaoh, they met Moses and Aaron, who stood there to meet them. And they said to them, "Let the Lord look on you and judge, because you have made us abhorrent to the sight of Pharaoh and in the sight of his servants, to put a sword in their hand to kill us." Verse 22, so Moses returned to the Lord and said, "Lord, why have you brought trouble on this people? Why is it you have sent me? For since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has done evil to this people. Neither have you delivered your people at all." Chapter 5, verses 1 through 23.
Okay, got any comments on that?
Well, Moses started, it seems as if he started questioning the Lord of hosts. It almost looks like here, he was in a doubt here, because the Lord of hosts said he would do this. But when the people came back to say that Pharaoh was, like increasing and saying they were idle not doing anything and made them work more. It made them not believe Moses anymore.
Right. Yeah, they was murmuring, putting pressure on Moses because of things weren't going the way they thought it was supposed to go. So they was pressuring Moses because of what happened. And then Moses was reacting to that when he go to the Lord. Okay? But one of the things I want to shine light on is verse 3, because this is a verse right here show you who the God of Israel is. Again, said verse 3, and they said, the God of the Hebrews, right, have met with us. Let us go, that we may pray, or we may pray thee to thee 3 days, journey into the desert, and sacrifice unto the Lord our God, right? Then here you go. Lest he fall upon us with pestilence or the sword. So who got the sword?
Michael.
Okay, there it is. Anybody else got any comments out of that chapter? Okay, somebody want to read chapter 6?
Shalom.
Okay.
I will. Shalom. Chapter 6, Exodus chapter 6, God renews his covenant with Moses. 6:1. Then the Lord said unto Moses, now shall thou see what I will do to Pharaoh, for with a strong hand shall he let them go, and with a strong hand shall he drive them out of his land. And God spake unto Moses and said unto him, I am the Lord. And I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob by the name of God Almighty, but by my name Jehovah was I not known to them. Verse 4. And I have also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their pilgrimage, wherein they were strangers. And I have also heard the groaning of the children of Israel, whom the Egyptians kept in bondage. And I have remembered my covenant. Wherefore say unto the children of Israel, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will rid you out of their bondage, and I will redeem you with a stretched out arm and with great judgments. I will take you to me for a people, and I will be to you a God, and ye shall know that I am the Lord your God, which bringeth you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. And I will bring you in unto the land concerning thee which I did swear to give it to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. And I will give it you for an heritage. I am the Lord. Verse 9. And Moses spake so unto the children of Israel, but they hearkened not unto Moses for anguish of spirit and for cruel bondage. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Go in, speak unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, that he let the children of Israel go out of his land. And Moses spake before the Lord, saying, Behold, the children of Israel have not hearkened unto me. How then shall Pharaoh hear me, who am of uncircumcised lips? And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, and gave them a charge unto the children of Israel, and unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. Verse 14. These be the heads of their fathers' houses, the sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, Hanok, and Puyu, excuse me if I butcher these names, Hezron, and Carmi. These be the families of Reuben. And the sons of Simeon, Jamel, and Jamin, and Ohad, and Jachin, and Zohar, and Shaul, the son of a Cushanitish woman. Canaanitish woman. These are the families of Simeon. And these are the names of the sons of Levi according to their generations: Gershon and Kohath and Moriah. And the years of the life of Levi were 137 years. The sons of Gershon, Libnan and Shimei, according to their families, 18. And the sons of Kuthite, Amram and Izhar and Hebron and Uziel. And the years of the life of Kohath were 133 years. Verse 19, and the sons of Moriah and Mahalah and Mushai, these are the families of Levi according to their generations. And Amram took him Jochebed, his father's sister, to wife, and she bore him Aaron and Moses. And the years of the life of Amram were 137 years. Verse 21, and the sons of Izhar, Korah and Nepheg and Zechariah. 22, and the sons of Uziel was Michelle and Elzaphat and Zethari. And Aaron took him Elisheba, daughter of Aminadab, sister of Nahshon, to wife. And she bore him Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. And the son of Korah, Asher, and Elkanah, and Abias. These are the families of the. And Eleazar, Aaron's son, took him one of the daughters of Patel to wife, and she bore him Phinehas. These are the heads of the fathers. Excuse me.
Marco.
Okay, these are the heads of the fathers of the Levites according to their families. 26. These are that Aaron and Moses, to whom the Lord said, bring out the children of Israel from the land of Egypt according to their armies. These are they which spake to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to bring out the children of Israel from Egypt. These are that Moses and Aaron. And it came to pass on the day when the Lord spake unto Moses in the land of Egypt. 29. That the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, I am the Lord. Speak thou unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, all that I say unto thee. And Moses said before the Lord, behold, I am of uncircumcised lips, and how shall Pharaoh hearken unto me? Exodus chapter 6.
Okay, you got anything? Comments on that?
Yes, sir. It seemed as though when I was reading over in the beginning of the chapter, is that it was the desire of the Lord to have a godly community. As
Right.
you go back, yes, sir. Yeah. And it was like he wanted to have an ongoing relationship, with his people.
Okay.
Yeah, and the intentions was for his people to enjoy a good life. As you can see, he didn't want them amongst just anybody.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so I want to shine a light on verse 3. Back to identifying the God of Israel. So it says, verse 2, and God spake unto Moses, said unto him, I am the Lord. Right? 3, I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob by the name God Almighty. Right? So he appeared to them as if he was Yahweh. That's what he's saying. I appeared unto them, Abraham, and unto Isaac, and unto Jacob by the name of God Almighty. Right? But my name is Jehovah. Was I not known was I not known to them? So they think it's God Almighty, right? Go to Exodus right quick, 23. I'm kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but you go to Exodus 23, you'll see what I'm talking about. Exodus 23 says, Yahweh came down on Mount Sinai. Like I said, Michael with him and these other 6 angels, they are all on Mount Sinai. So he says, verse 20, behold, I sent an angel before thee. So he sent his right, he's number 1 angel with his right hand. I sent an angel before thee to keep thee in the way and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Hey, this is understanding right here, 21. Beware of him, obey his voice, provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions. And here you go. For my name is in him. We go back to verse 6. And there it is. Go back to verse 6. Chapter 6. And verse 3. This is the Lord of hosts talking. I appeared unto Abraham and unto Isaac and unto Jacob by the name God Almighty. His name. You got Yahweh name in it. See that?
Yes.
But my name is Jehovah. Was I not known to them? Then we go to verse 4. I have also established my covenant with them. So what are you talking about? Go to Judges. Judges chapter 2. It all started, it started opening up, right? So chapter 2, verse 1. The angel of the Lord, the angels of the Lord, his right hand angel, number 1 angel, Michael, says, and the angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Beckham and said, I made you to go up out of Egypt, and I have brought you into the land which I swore unto your fathers, and I said, I will never break my covenant with you. So we see right here. If you know how to read, this angel got the covenant with Israel. So we go back over there where we was at. In Exodus chapter 6. You see it again. It says, and I have also established my covenant. So we see that's angel talking. Angel of the Lord got the covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their pilgrimage, wherein they were strangers. And I have also heard the groaning of the children of Israel, whom Egyptians keep in bondage, and I have remembered my covenant. Yeah? So we see we got the covenant. We tell you in Judges chapter 2, you got the covenant. So we just opens Exodus 6 and 3 up like a red rose. Okay. Anyway, anybody else got anything on chapter 6?
No, sir.
Somebody want to read chapter 7?
I can read chapter 7.
Okay,
Exodus. Okay. You want to go ahead and read it?
No, I'll read the last one, chapter 8.
Oh, yes, sir. Exodus chapter 7, God's instructions to Moses. 7 and 1. And the Lord said unto Moses, see, I have made thee a god to Pharaoh, and Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet. Thou shalt speak all that I command thee, and Aaron thy brother shall speak unto Pharaoh. And he send the children of Israel out of his land. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt. But Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that I may lay my hand upon Egypt and bring forth mine armies and my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt by great judgments. 5. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I stretch forth my hand upon Egypt and bring out the children of Israel from among them. And Moses and Aaron did as the Lord commanded them. So did they. And Moses was 80 years old, and Aaron 83 years old, when they spake unto Pharaoh. And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, when Pharaoh shall speak unto you, saying, show a miracle for you, then thou shalt say unto Aaron, take thy rod and cast it before Pharaoh, and it shall become a serpent. And Moses and Aaron went unto Pharaoh, and they did so, as the Lord had commanded. And Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. 11. Then Pharaoh also called the wise men and the sorcerers, now the magicians of Egypt. They also did in like manner with their enchantments, for they cast down every man his rod, and they became serpents. But Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods. And he hardened Pharaoh's heart, that he hearkened not unto them, as the Lord had said. Verse 14. And the Lord said unto Moses, Pharaoh's heart is hardened. He refuseth to let the people go. Get thee unto Pharaoh in the morning. Lo, he goeth out unto the water, and thou shalt stand by the river's brink against he come. And the rod which was turned to a serpent shalt thou take in thy hand, and thou shalt say unto him, The Lord God of the Hebrews hath sent me unto thee, saying, Let my people go, that they may serve me in the wilderness, and behold, hitherto thou wouldest not hear. 17. Thus said the Lord, In this thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Behold, I will smite with the rod that is in my hand upon the waters which are in the river, and they shall be turned to blood. And the fish that is in the river shall die, and the river shall stink. And the Egyptians shall loathe to drink of the water of the river. And the Lord spake unto Moses, Say unto Aaron, Take thy rod and stretch out thine hand unto the waters of Egypt, upon their streams, upon their rivers, and upon their ponds, and upon all their pools of water, that they may become blood, that there may be blood throughout all the land of Egypt, both in vessels of wood and in vessels of stone. Verse 20. And Moses and Aaron did so, as the Lord had commanded, and he lifted up the rod and smote the waters that were in the river, in the sight of Pharaoh, and in the sight of his servants. And all the waters that were in the rivers were turned to blood. And the fish that was in the river died, and the river stank, and the Egyptians could not drink of the water of the river. And there was blood throughout all the land of Egypt. And the magicians of Egypt did so with their enchantments, and Pharaoh's heart was hardened. Neither did he hearken unto them, as the Lord had said. And Pharaoh turned and went into his house. Neither did he set his heart to this also. 24. And all the Egyptians digged round about the river for water to drink, for they could not drink of the water of the river. And 7 days were fulfilled after the Lord had smitten the river. That was Exodus chapter 7.
Okay, got anything out of that comment?
Yes, sir. In the beginning of let me go back. Around verse 10, when the Pharaoh had spoke, right? It was seeming as though he was competing with the Lord of hosts, saying that his people could outdo whatever he has ordered Moses and Aaron to do, because he said, verse 11, then the Pharaoh also called the wise men and the sorcerers, now the magicians of Egypt. They also did in like manner with their enchantments.
Okay.
Yeah, but at the end we know that the Lord of hosts is in control, and that's when he set the plagues upon them, and he knew that he was not as mighty as the Lord of hosts.
Right. So let's look at that, because it's a meat right there. So we know that back in the first part of Exodus last week we was reading that he gave Moses 2 signs, right? One of them was to put his hand in his bosom and pull it out, and he's going to be white as snow. That was a sign to show the Pharaoh that the Hebrews had God was with them, right?
Yes, sir.
And he said, first he told him to throw the stick down first, and he turned it to a snake. And it scared Moses. He told Moses take it by the tail and raise it up and turn it back to a rod. Then Moses done it. Then he said, if that don't work, then put your hand in the bosom, right? So,
Yes, sir.
so he said, put your hand in your bosom, and he turned it, put it back out as white. So when you look at that, ain't Moses talking to the Lord of hosts?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we know from chapter 7 that it's angels over. From the Tower of Babel, that he divided the earth up into with these 70 angels, and he gave Mount Zion to the Lord of hosts. That's who giving Moses these signs to prove to the Egyptians that Israel had a God over them. Okay, so you get to verse 11, and the Pharaoh also called wise men and the sorcerers now are the musicians, and they did in like manner with their enchantment. So, so who turned their rods into snakes? The angel that's over?
Yeah.
Huh?
They're angels. The angels that's over.
Yeah, okay. Right. See that?
Mm.
So then he turned around to prove. So there's way more going on than meet the eye because we've been lied to so much. So Michael, he had a Lord of hosts there. So they there. So when they did that, he turned around and told them, eat they let the monster eat theirs up.
Right.
You see that?
Yes.
Okay. So then 25 it says, last verse of that chapter says, and 7 days were fulfilled after the Lord had smitten the river. So what you get out of that? Anybody got any comments on that, or what they think that means?
Because there's 7 holy angels. So no. the 7 no.
So what do you tell us? And you say in the 10 Commandments, how many days you supposed to work?
6 and rest 7. The 7th day.
So 6 days passed and a Shabbat. Then he went to work on. So you say what you talking about? What you talking about? Go back to chapter 6, Genesis chapter 6. So it says, starting at verse 1, chapter 7 of Genesis. And the Lord said unto Noah, come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteousness before me in the generation. Of every clean beast thou shalt take of thee by 7, the male and his female, and the beasts that are not clean by 2, the male and the female, of the fowls also of the air by 7, male and the female, are seed alive upon the face of the earth. Then verse 4, yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. So he gave him 6 days to round animals up, keep the Shabbat, then he brought the rain. See that?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I do.
Okay.
Yes.
So you see it's that's in there a lot. I'm just showing you that's what he's talking about. Okay. So I had something else, but I'll pass it up. Somebody got something?
Yes, sir. How in verse 6 and in 7, how he continues to say that he is the let's see, that's in verse, hold on, I just had it. 6 and 6, where he says, wherefore I say unto the children of Israel, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out under the burdens of Egypt. It's like he's continued to tell them this, not like they forgot it, but like he's letting them know, no matter what none of those evil angels do, I'm the Lord. I'm going to take you out. He's always going to top
Right.
those other 7 bad angels, and so he constantly reminding them of that.
Right. Right. And then notice how when he we know that in the beginning he was the one that's moving on the waters. And then we see in Daniel chapter 12, he's standing on the middle of the water.
Right.
So right here in 20, gotta understand, like I said, understand where baptism came from. Baptism came from the Egyptians. They worshiped the Nile River. So all the Pharaoh, that's what he's doing right here. The Pharaoh going out to the Nile River. So anyway, they worship the Nile River. And so he's showing them, I'm the one controlling all this water in these rivers. So he says 20, Exodus 7 and 20. And Moses and Aaron did so. And the Lord commanded, and he lifted up his rod, smote the waters that were in the river, in the sight of the Pharaoh and in the sight of his servants. And all the waters that were in the river were turned into blood. He's doing that because they worship in the river.
Right.
Now understanding the person that made the river standing there with Moses now. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So look what they did after he smote it. It says, and the musicians so it says 21, and the fish that were in the river died. The river stank, and Egyptians could not drink the water of the river, and there was blood throughout all the land of Egypt. 22, and the musicians of Egypt did so with their enchantments, and Pharaoh's heart was hardened. Neither did they hearken to them as the Lord had said. And the Pharaoh turned and went into the house. Neither did he set his heart to do also. Now here you go. All the Egyptians, they got, even to this day, they blow up the Nile River. So why it operates, courses and all that. And all the Egyptians digged around about the river for water to drink, for they could not drink the water of the river. So they couldn't find no water nowhere. We dried up the water under the ground and everything. Let them know this Nile River ain't shit. I'm the one controlling.
Right. Right. He said, by great judgments, and the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord when I stretch forth my Egypt and bring out the children of Israel from among them. So he, like you said, he knew they worship the Nile River, the water, right? So he said, by great judgment. Moses and Aaron already knew he was the Lord. They knew who he was. He was the great Almighty.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, shalom. Okay. Even with that, the pots that they had stored water in, when they opened it up, because it says it was going to be blood. So anywhere water was, it turned into blood.
Right. Exactly. And that was a proof point to them because, like I said, they worship the Nile River. Okay.
That was verse 19, Sister Cheryl.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else got anything?
Shalom, I just wanted to say those angels don't perform goodness, so those enchantments and those musicians, they form evil and trickery and sorcery, but it's no good in it.
Right. Right.
Would that be?
Go ahead.
Yes, I was saying that the fallen angels who taught them the medicine and the trickery and the things that they're doing now did were they these people were the same size and all. These were not the Nephilims, correct?
Yeah, Egyptians, that's what I was saying. He says Ham had 4 sons. He had Put, Mesarine, Go to Deuteronomy 28. I mean, Deuteronomy chapter 2, when they came out of Egypt, all those giants. The I am on the end of their name. Makes them let you know they giants. So Ham had Put, he had Cush, and then he had Mezarine, and he had another son, I can't think of his name. But anyway, he had Mezarine. The Egyptians came from the fallen angel. The Egyptians, it says, my people went down into Egypt, and the Egyptian, Mezarine, one of the sons of Ham, oppressed them. So that's what these giants do. Nephilim is oppressing mankind. So the Egyptian oppressed them. I mean, you want to go further into that understanding, just go to YouTube and go to Egypt, Land of the Giants, part 1 and 2. That's what they don't want you to know. It was giants all over the land of Egypt. It came from, like I said, when those 200 angels, that's why they got so many gods they worshiping in Egypt. And it went from there to the Greeks duplicating them, the Greeks worshiping them. Oh, they got a pantheon of gods because that's where 200 angels came down in. They left Mount Hermon and they went to Egypt. So like I was saying before,
go ahead. I'm sorry, son. Go ahead.
So like I was saying before with the you got 6-day man, and then after he created 6-day man 2,000 years before he made Adam. Then when he made Adam, they had already multiplied. But Adam is he's the overseer of the planet. The 6-day man subject to him. But after those angels came down in Egypt, now he says that they lifted the head up over Adam's descendants. Because now they worship these fallen angels and these Nephilim. And not only that, they intermingle with them. So now they ain't trying to hear shit that Adam descendants saying. Melchizedek and that group, they ain't trying to hear that because now they've been dealing with these fallen angels. And that's why when after the Lord of Hosts came there and delivered them out of the land of Egypt, that's why a mixed multitude left with them because they was naturally subject to them. So that the ones that had the spirit still had that spirit on them from when Creator had first created them and who they were subject to, they left with the Egyptians. Because the Egyptians was oppressing them too. They like half brothers. Because the Mezarine Egyptians didn't come from Ham. Egyptians came from fallen angels. So they not only when Israel got into the land of Egypt, they oppressed them. They was already oppressing the 6-day man. So when like I said, when the Lord of Hosts came there and delivered them, some of them, mixed multitude, left with them. They didn't want to be around the Egyptians either. So let's look at something right quick for people that's out there listening. Say, yo, this Negro nut, bro. So let's look at Numbers. No, not Numbers. Ezekiel chapter 19. Chapter 19 of Ezekiel. So this is let me get it right. I might be the wrong chapter. Let me get the right chapter. It might be 11. Okay. Amen. When you find this is important. Okay. It's been a minute since I dealt with this. Okay.
Excuse me, Brother Leonard. Is it chapter 29 in Ezekiel when he said in the 10th year of the 10th month?
Prophets against Egypt. Prophets, let me see. Okay. Nah, I think it's over here. I think it's 30, but I don't even think that's it. But I'll read out 30. It says, let me see. It's crazy. Yeah, it's 30. So this the Lord hope talking to Ezekiel, telling him to prophesy against Egypt, right? I'm going to start at chapter 30, verse 1. The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy and say, Thus said the Lord God, how ye woe, or worth the day, for the day is near, even the day of the Lord is near, a cloudy day. It shall be a time of the heathen, and the sword shall come upon Egypt. A great pain shall be in Ethiopia, when the slain shall fall in Egypt, and they shall take away her multitude, and their foundation shall be broken. Ethiopia and Libya and Lydia and all the mingled people of Cud and the men of the land is in league shall fall them by the sword. Thus said the Lord. They also upon Egypt shall fall, and the pride of her power shall come down. Right? Look at this. The pride of her power. So we're going to see what her pride is. The pride of her power shall come down from the tower of Syrian, and shall fall in it by the sword, said the Lord, and they shall be desolate in the midst of the country that are desolate, and her cities shall be in the midst of the cities that are wasted, and they shall know that I am the Lord when I have set a fire in Egypt, and when all her helpers shall be destroyed. So notice, he says they're going to know it when I set a fire in Egypt. Same way when we turn all the blood, all the water to blood, they know he there, right? 10. Thus says the Lord God, I will also make the multitude of Egypt to cease by the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. He and his people with him, the terrible of the nations. See that these giants, we're going to see that in a minute. Terrible of the nations shall be brought to destroy the land, and they shall draw their swords against Egypt and fill the land with slain. And I will make the rivers dry and sell the land into the hands of the wicked. And I will make the land waste and all that are therein by the hand of the stranger. I, the Lord, have spoken it. Thus said the Lord God, I will also destroy the idols, and I will cause their images to cease out of Nu. See that? Nu. That's a city in Egypt. And there shall be in Nu, and there shall be no more prince. See that? He's Nephilim, of the land of Egypt, or more a prince of the land of Egypt. And I will put a fear in the land of Egypt, and I will make Patros desolate. And I will set, here you go right here. It's the capital city of Zorn. Giants all over Zorn. It says, and I will set a fire in Zorn, and I will execute judgment in No. That's 3 cities right there. You go do your research, you'll find out. That's where Egypt came in existence, from right here. And this is where these angels came down here. It says, and I will pour my fury upon Sin. That's 4 cities. And I will strengthen the strength the strength of Egypt. So these 4 cities right here, strength of Egypt. Not where they talk, where you see in the history books. So it says, and I will cut off the multitude of No, and I will set fire in Egypt. Then, and I have a great pain, and no shall be or rendered asunder, and new shall have distresses daily, and the young men of Avon and the I can't say that word, shall fall by the sword, and the city shall go into captivity. Then at Telaphon, that's another city. Also, the day shall be darkened, and when I shall break their yoke of Egypt, and the pomp of her strength shall cease in her. As for her, a cloud shall cover her, and her daughters shall go into captivity. Thus will I execute judgment in Egypt, and they shall know that I am the Lord. And it came to pass in the 11th year, in the first month, in the 7th day of the month, that the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, I have broken the arm of the Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and lo, it shall not be bound up or to be healed, to put a roller to bind it, to make the strong to hold the sword. So when you understand that, you go do your research. New in all these cities is where when the fallen angels came down there, that's where the stronghold at. Princesses, which is these Nephilim. It's no different than Deuteronomy 2, chapter 2. He says that don't, when you go into the land, when you get there to the mountain to Horeb, don't meddle with Esau, because that land where Esau is, I gave it to him. But before they came, it was giants there, and I caused them to displace the giants. So same right here with Egypt. The stronghold of Egypt is these cities right here. Is where these giants is. The pomp of Egypt. These people, these are the ones oppressed the Egyptians. I mean, the Hebrews. Okay, yeah, so kind of got sidebar, but it's all good. So one more thing I want to shine a light on before I start reading out of chapter 8 was when he says, somebody had mentioned it, 21, 7 and 21 says, and the fish that were in the river died, and the river stank, and the Egyptians could not drink the water of the river, and there was blood throughout all the land of Egypt. So we know the Lord did that, right? So blood all in the water, no water, they could find no clean water, blood everywhere. Then 22, just like over here with the snake and the rods, Moses threw his rod down, then Pharaoh got his musicians throw their rods down, and they turned their rods into snakes. Then he told Moses, he got Moses' snake to eat theirs up. Well, right here, he turned all the water in Egypt to blood. Now, 22, the musicians of Egypt did so with their enchantments, and the Pharaoh's heart was hardened. Neither did he hearken unto them as the Lord had said. So why is his heart hardened? They couldn't turn the water back. They couldn't turn the water back. Lord hosts turned into blood. Then they waiting on he thinking his musicians can do the same thing, but they can't turn it back.
Right.
So his heart got hardened. See that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you say, how do I know that? How do I know that? I'm gonna start reading. 8. And the Lord spake unto Moses, go unto the Pharaoh and say unto him, thus saith the Lord, let my people go that they may serve me. And if thou refuse to let them go, behold, I will smite all the borders with frogs. So where the frogs come from? It's blood all over everywhere. The frogs coming up out of the water. The water's got blood in it. That's how I know they couldn't turn it back. He got pissed off because they couldn't do it. It was nothing they could do. He knew it was God that had done it, because they couldn't turn the water back to like it was. So anyway, and the river shall bring forth frogs abundantly, which shall go up and come into thy house and into thy bed chambers, and upon thy bed, and into thy house of thy servants, and upon thy blood, and into thy ovens, and into thy kneading troughs. So I just told you that you get a 6-day man. You know, you got people fumbling with that. So not only was these Nephilim giants, they're oppressive. They didn't just oppress the Hebrews. When they came there, when the fallen angels came in and had those offspring, they oppressed the 6-day man. So how I know that? Verse 3. The river shall bring forth frogs abundantly, which shall go up and come into thine house, and into thy bedchamber. Now watch this. And upon thy bed and into the house of thy servants. See that? So I thought of the Hebrews was their servants. The Hebrews in Goshen. Any frogs in Goshen?
Yes, sir.
Ain't no frogs in Goshen. So who these servants is right here? Come on. Okay, so it says servants, and upon thy people, and into thine ovens, and into thy kneading troughs, and the frogs shall come up both on thee and upon thy people, and upon all thy servants. See that? Who these servants is? And these ain't the Israelites. They don't have no. It's their God that's there. He ain't bringing no frogs on them. They ain't Goshen. So it says, and the Lord spake unto Moses, say unto Aaron, stretch forth thy hand with thy rod over the streams and over the rivers and over the ponds and cause frogs to come up. The blood ain't gone nowhere. So he says, come up from the land of Egypt. And Aaron stretched out his hand over the rivers of Egypt, and the frogs came up, covered the land of Egypt. And the musician, he go again, and the musician did so with their enchantments and brought up frogs from upon the land of Egypt. And then the Pharaoh called for Moses and said, Aaron, and said, entreat the Lord that he may take away the frogs from me and from my people, and I will let the people go, that they may do a sacrifice unto them. So see that? So the first time with the snakes, they did their little thing with snake, but they couldn't do nothing with the blood. They couldn't do nothing with the frogs. So he called Moses, Aaron in there and said, now he getting his mind right. Ask your God to let these frogs, get these frogs out of here. See that? Then 9. And Moses said unto the Pharaoh, glory over me. When shall I entreat for thee and for thy servants and for thy people to destroy the frogs from thee and thy houses, that they may remain in the river only? And he said, so the only reason they come out of the river like that is, like I said, because of blood. And he said, tomorrow. And he said, be it according to thy word, that thou mayest know that there is none like unto the Lord our God. There's angels there, but they ain't like the Lord of hosts. And he said, and the frogs shall depart from thee and from thy houses and from thy servants and from thy people. They shall remain in the river only. And Moses and Aaron went out from the Pharaoh, and Moses cried unto the Lord because of the frogs which he had brought against the Pharaoh. And the Lord did according to the word of Moses, and the frogs died out of the houses, out of the villages, out of the fields, and they gathered them together upon heaps, and the land stank. But when the Pharaoh saw that there was no repeat, he hardened his heart and hearkened not unto them as the Lord had said. So what we're looking at right here, just like a vow. He went told Moses, if you get these frogs out of here, then I'm gonna let y'all go. When they let him go, he didn't. So we know the circumstances of not honoring a vow when it comes to the Lord. So 16, and the Lord said unto Moses, say unto Aaron, stretch out thy rod and smite the dust of the land, that it may become lice throughout all the land of Egypt. And they did so. For Aaron stretched out his hand with his rod and smote the dust of the earth, and it became lice in men and in beasts. All the dust of the land became lice throughout all the land of Egypt. And the musician did so. See that they keep on trying. And the musician did so with their enchantments to bring forth lice but they could not. So there was life upon men and upon beasts. Then the musician said unto the Pharaoh, this is the finger of God. Now they getting it right. This is the finger of God. And the Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he hearkened not unto them as the Lord had said. And the Lord said to Moses, rise up early in the morning, stand before the Pharaoh. Lo, he cometh forth to the water. And he still believe that the water is the Nile of God. And say unto him, thus saith the Lord, let my people go that they may serve me. Else, if thou wilt not let my people go, behold, I will send swarms of flies upon thee, and upon thy servants, and upon thy people, and into thy houses, and the houses of the Egyptians shall be full of swarms of flies, and also the ground wherein they are. Right? So let me show you something right quick before we go any further. So I'm in chapter 10, Genesis chapter 10 right quick. Drive this point home right here. Genesis chapter 10 says, look at chapter 10. So it says, chapter 10, verse 6. This is the table of nations. Chapter 10, verse 6. And the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim. See that? That's the Egyptians. Mizraim is the Egyptian. Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. So now let's go back over here. So the Egyptians is Mizraim. So I'm back over where I was at. Yeah, 24. And the Lord did so, and there came a grievous swarm of flies into the house of the Pharaoh, to his servants' houses, and into all the land of Egypt. And the land was corrupted by reason of the swarm of flies. And the Pharaoh called for Moses and Aaron and said, go ye, sacrifice. No, I'm going too far. Plagues of lice. 20. And the Lord said unto Moses, rise up early in the morning and stand before the Pharaoh. Lo, he's coming forth to the water, and say unto him, thus saith the Lord, let my people go, that they may serve me. Else, if thou wilt not let my people go, behold, I will send a swarm of flies upon thee, and upon thy servants, and upon thy people, and into thy houses of the Egyptians shall be full of swarms of flies, and also of the ground wherein they are. And I will sever in that day the land of Goshen. Something going on there. Let me get it. Okay. This. Okay. Okay. Let me read. I start at 20. The Lord God said unto Moses, rise up early in the morning, stand before the Pharaoh. Lo, he cometh forth to the water. Say unto him, thus said the Lord God, let my people go, that they may serve me. Else, if thou wilt not let my people go, behold, I will send swarms of flies upon thee, and upon thy servants, and upon thy people, into thy houses, and in the houses of the Egyptians. See that? And into the house of the Egyptians. Well, damn, what other 3 sons? He just dealing with the Egyptians. What other 3 sons? It says, in the house of the Egyptians shall be full of swarms of flies, and also the ground wherein they are. And I will sever in that day the land of Goshen, in which my people dwell, that no swarm of flies shall be there to the end thou mayest know that I am the Lord in the midst of the earth. So let's go back. 22. And I will sever in that day the land of Goshen. That's what the Israelites said. The Israelites supposed to be the servants, the slaves, but it says, I will sever in that day the land of Goshen, in which my people dwell. So who these other servants is? That's the mother's boys. That's the mixed multitude that left with them. Egyptians is the giants. So it says, let's go one more place. Okay. You got nut buckets out there listening. So let's look at it. Chapter 10. We'll go back to chapter 10. And I showed you in verse 6, the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, that's the Egyptians, and Put in Canaan, right? Then you go on down to chapter 11, out of the verse 11. Out of the land went forth Asher and built Nineveh, and the cities of Reba, Caleb, and Rezin between Nineveh and Caleb, the same as the great city. Then here you go, 13. Mizraim, I am on the end of it. We got Ludum, Anum, all them giants, all the way down to 20. That's the cities I just showed you in Ezekiel. What he said, he destroyed the strength of Egypt, these giants. And if you look at it, if you go to Deuteronomy chapter 2, you see the same name. Giants all over the land of Egypt. Nephilim. Okay? So I'm back over here. I'm going to read, start at 24. And the Lord did so. This Exodus 8:24. And the Lord did so. And there came a grievous swarm of flies into the house of Pharaoh and into his servants' houses and into all the land of Egypt. And the land was corrupted by reason of the swarms of flies. And the Pharaoh called for Moses and for Aaron and said, Go, ye sacrifice to your God in the land. And Moses said, It is not meet so to do, for we shall sacrifice the abomination of the Egyptians to the Lord our God. Lo, shall we sacrifice the abomination of the Egyptians before their eyes, and will they not stone us? We will go 3 days' journey into the wilderness and sacrifice to the Lord our God as he shall command us. And the Pharaoh said, I will let you go, that you may sacrifice to the Lord your God in the wilderness. Only you shall not go very far away. Entreat for me. And Moses said, Behold, I go out from thee, and I will entreat the Lord that the swarm of flies may depart from Pharaoh and from his servants and from his people tomorrow. But let not the Pharaoh deal deceitfully anymore in not letting the people go to sacrifice to the Lord. And Moses went out from the Pharaoh and entreated the Lord. And the Lord did according to the words of Moses. And he removed the swarm of flies from the Pharaoh, from the servants, and from his people. There remained not one. And the Pharaoh hardened his heart at this time also, neither would he let the people go. So I'm gonna stop right there. So my thing is this: what's the difference in right now about reparations? We see what the Pharaoh did. He thought he had some kind of authority that he can make deals with the Lord of Hosts, and then when the Lord of Hosts did what he had to do, he turned right around and got it hard in his heart. And we see the same thing happening now with these reparations. They can do it, but they keep on not doing it. So we know what the outcome gonna be, just like it was with these people right here. And there's something. So I got one more thing I want to say. If somebody got something comment.
I just wanted to go back to when we talked about the Egyptians being the fallen angels, offspring. So
Right.
Pharaoh was a giant, and he embellished in gold and adored himself,
Right.
with all this royalty, which turned into when they wanted the women to put it on so they could be, persuade the men and entice the men and all of that kind of stuff, like a Sodom and Gomorrah right there in Egypt.
Right.
They were doing all of this in fear of Pharaoh because he was so much bigger, and his people was so much bigger than a lot of them there. So,
Right.
you know, they feared, and anytime when the people got Moses' people got afraid, because when they didn't see the Lord of hosts do something immediately, they knew that the giant would do something immediately to them. So they kept being, you know, in doubt. They would believe, then they wouldn't believe, you know, because they were fearful.
Right. And so
And when,
when you see that the Lord of hosts demanded that they sacrifice to him, right? The animals,
yes, sir.
lambs,
Yes,
all
sir.
that. Well, who the Egyptians sacrifice to? They're going up in these high places. Who they sacrifice to? They
The
fathers.
fallen angel. Yep.
Yeah, they fathers. Right? Yeah. Okay.
Sir, if we going back to Genesis 10 in verse 19, when it talks about all the lineage of the giants there, and the border from which they came, they have in 19 it says unto Gaza. Is that the same Gaza now?
Right. That's the Philistines.
Okay. Yep. Okay. I thought so. Yes,
Right.
sir.
Right. So when you go back to what the scriptures tell us, that he said he ran Israel out.
Mm-hmm.
Abomination that
Yes,
make
sir.
it dead. The Philistines ain't no Israelites. That's why they still
That's
there.
right. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Is there some?
Yes, sir.
Anybody else got anything before we go? Comments?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. I just wanted to bring up, as we were talking about the enchantments, right? And the sorcerers and the magicians, it just took me back to the book of Enoch.
Right.
When
Exactly.
yes, I was thinking about that, like
that's a marker too. That's a marker to let you know where the 200 angels came down here. Because the Egyptians doing enchantments. That's what they taught them.
Right. Yes. With what's it, Simjaza? Is that his name?
Yeah.
That taught enchantment. Yes. In the book of Enoch. Yes, sir.
Right. And that's why it's a pantheon of gods in Egypt. Because the 200 came down. That's what they don't tell you where they came down there, but they came down in Egypt. And notice that that's where all the wealth of the world is, in Egypt. So that's where
Egypt. Yes, sir.
Oh,
and that's where the pyramids and all of the giant buildings, that the big bricks and blocks that no regular normal man could pick up, a giant could build those things.
Right. Check out that video I was telling you about. Egypt, land of the giants.
Egypt, the land of giants. Yes, sir.
2 parts to it. They're showing you on the paintings in the tombs and all that. They're showing the same blocks. The giants got them on their shoulder. Yeah. And so you say, what are you talking about? That's why they never would submit to the Creator, to the Yahweh, and to the angels and all that, because of their strength. They had supernatural strength, and they didn't feel like they needed. They had to submit to nobody. That's why they would never submit, except the ones that Abraham was given, and Abraham circumcised them.
Yes, sir. And when they try to show that in movies and stuff, they would show just the regular Egyptians being slaves and pulling these big old things like they did it. You know, built these ladders. They brought them those big bricks up the ladder, or whatever, that clay up the ladder, and there was no way they could do that. But they wouldn't show that in the movie, but they would show Pharaoh as being humongous and large, but they won't show anybody else. So what I look at that is them depicting, just like like the Lord of hosts, one of the big angels there of the fallen angels. They try to make them be the Lord over the people.
Right. And so in this video I'm talking about, yeah, they pulling the stones, but it's 17, 18. It ain't that many men, because they were giants. They're showing you that, but it's only they're showing it on the wall paintings. It's about 18 men pulling them one block. It wasn't no all of what they show you on the movies, all these people pulling these strings and pulleys and wood. No, it was like 7 angels. I mean, or 17, 18 giants pulling that stone. And another good movie to watch, because like I say, they know the truth. We don't. They put it in our face on the movies. Is 10,000 BC. The movie called 10,000 BC. Yeah. So yeah. And all those statues, the statues that they making, them life-size statues. That's how those are actually size. They show the giants carving them.
Shalom.
Right.
Yes, when they crossed the Red Sea and they was going to go into the land, when he sent them to see about it, they said there are giants. We are grasshoppers to them. So they still, the giants were still on earth. They were still doing things.
Exactly. It's called Japheth. Japheth was a giant, but they crossed the Jordan. You heard me?
Yes, sir. You know, when they parted the
Jordan, not the Red Sea.
Okay. So when they left out of the wilderness and they went to go spy, that wasn't the Red Sea, it was the Jordan, you say?
They crossed the Jordan. They crossed the Red Sea once they left out of Egypt. But then when they got ready to go into the land, they had to wander in the wilderness for 40 years. Then they came to the Jordan. And then that's when they got the spies, go and spy out the land. And they saw the giants.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so anybody else? Everybody good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So with that being said, we say shalom. See everybody tomorrow.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Shalom, shalom.